we have a short video that I'm going to bring up here. It's on a hackathon that was done this weekend. So let's roll that before we bring on our next.
The next 3 days, my team will be challenging you to inspire us with your creative minds and to show us the art of the possible.
We want you to solve real problems. So think of the real problems. You got the cool tech, you got new tools in the toolbox. How are you going to close the digital divide?
Out of the use case arises the story, and we want to see a compelling story that really has the potential to fly and go far.
We're looking for innovation here. We're talking about stepping outside the comfort zone, outside the box, and finding new innovative solutions to very challenging problems.
AI, when infused with the global telecom, when infused with the global compute, pervasively handed out to the masses, has the potential to change the future of our younger generation.
I like how Bedrock handles multiple requests, so it's like chunks coming through. You can really do the text type prompter. My rack implementation with Bedrock is as simple as creating an S3 bucket.
NIM is an easy version of taking away the pain of deploying the whole NVIDIA original CUDA software.
We are using NIM to do voice-to-speech, the special model called Parakeet, to do the automatic speech recognition.
I'm from Karachi, Pakistan, and as you guys know, there's a lot of people there who don't have access to resources, access to teachers, to tools. That's why I really value having this application being open source and allowing everybody to have access.
Thank you, Patrick. Now, as you'll have probably worked out from that video, this is something slightly different from what we've been talking about today. Today's focus has been telecoms operators using AI in customer operations, network operations, et cetera, et cetera. This discussion, I guess, goes back to what telcos can do in terms of bridging the digital divide. I think there's been a topical discussion, particularly since COVID, telcos looking at what they can do in terms of extending connectivity. This was a different type of project. My understanding is, you'll tell us more about this, it was about how we can use GenAI to help different industries, segments of society, not be left behind, if you like. So, Kaniz. So just to introduce you both. So Kaniz Mahdi, Director of Technology at AWS, Dr. Mark Austin, VP Data Science at AT&T. Kaniz, is your inspiration, I believe, so talk us through the project.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. So the inspiration and motivation at AWS, our main mission is to transform our telco customers from companies that connect people to people and people to things to world-class institutions that underpin the fabric of our daily lives. And the daily lives of not just the privileged few, but daily lives of everyone, all of humanity. And that's what basically brought us to the point where, okay, so we've been working hand in hand with the telco to do connectivity and compute, give it in the hands of the masses. But then what if I continue to build on a foundation that I'm building to eliminate all the barriers that lie in the path of unique, equitable experiences that are afforded to each one of the people that we serve?
Thank you, Kaniz.
And that was
and so,
yeah.
What have we been watching? What was the video we were watching?
Yeah.
So talk us through the video and what it was, who was there, how it came together.
Yes, I'm getting there. So, So that was the inspiration, the vision, the ambition that AWS has for our telcos. But then how do we get there? It's an audacious goal. And we could have just gone ahead and partnered with one or two institutions and did it ourselves. But we decided to do it collectively in a community. So every new ambition that you embark on, there is a people, a process, and a technology element to it. And we wanted to change the game on all three elements. So people-wise, we wanted to go out and partner with the technology partners as well as the future generation. So we are enabling the talent for the future. For process-wise, we could have just gone ahead and done some private collaboration with our esteemed partners like AT&T, which we will continue to do. But we wanted to do crowdsource innovation. So that's the change innovation we're making and bringing into the process side of things. And then technology, of course, has to be the foundation comes together by our partners, AWS, of course, Anthropic, NVIDIA, AT&T, there will be many more, all of them coming together. And then how do I bring in that creative juice in the making so I'm thinking outside the box, I'm thinking big, and hence the hackathon. So we wanted to create a developer experience that is underpinned by the foundation that the solid companies are bringing to bear, but then open it up to the creative minds, bringing the startups in the room, bringing the students in the room, along with the people and developers and builders from our own institutions. And the energy, so this weekend, basically, Friday night was the launch of the event.
So literally 3 to 4 days ago.
Exactly. So we launched the Breaking Barriers on Friday evening, thanks to AT&T for hosting us in the very pristine venue, the Innovation Center in Plano. And I have to tell you, the energy in the room was really, I mean, I haven't seen that many in decades, I would say. In the telco, it was the times when we were working on WebRTC, if you recall, 10 years ago. We did the neurosurgeon type of application back then, 10 years ago. That vibe, I could relive that vibe in the room. We had about more than 500 people registered. And out of those, through the pre-screening process, we selected more than 30 teams in the room. So we had about 100 people in the AT&T venue. Fortunately, we wanted to do a partnership with the students as well. Originally, we were going to invite them into the AT&T venue, but then the registration it just overflowed. We could not host them all. And UTD basically volunteered their venue. So we had a satellite camp venue at UTD. So students hacking in their school, some students hacking alongside the professional corporate developers. And I tell you, we had AT&T hacking, AWS hacking, many startups, but the result was very surprising. You know, the top three had two winners from UTD. One of them created their account right there at the hackathon, created the demo within the 2 days, and they were.
So can you give us a sense of, in terms of what solutions, what outcomes you're looking for, what were the boundaries?
Okay.
How do you decide what's a relevant type of?
Yeah. So we wanted to be very, very peculiar and prescriptive about what is the ambition that we are looking to build. The ambition was, give me something that fits the criteria of digital inclusion.
Right.
Digital inclusion cannot just be a simple translator, but it has to solve a barrier that lies in the path of any individual consuming technology. And so that was the key criteria. But then the other criteria, of course, were the partner technologies, right? So we had Anthropic in the room, we have NVIDIA in the room, we have AWS in the room, we have AT&T. That was the other criteria. So those were the two, I would say, guardrails. And then the rest was up to them to imagine.
Sure. So Mark, hey.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through the types of use cases you saw coming out, and was there a clear pattern in them, or was it kind of just extraordinarily broad and hard to categorize?
I think there was. By the way, I would say this was no normal hack.
No.
The hackathons I've been to, you slide pizzas under the door and you got to get people working all night.
And I'm told they didn't get pizzas at the food. Was fancy. This is what I.
This was custom. We had servers walking around with hors d'oeuvres, goat cheese, and crab cakes. it was totally different, right? So the atmosphere was really cool. So really top notch kind of there. But you know, a couple hundred people in the room, and the theme was break down the barriers, like we just said here. What are the barriers? The barriers could be language. The barriers, so think about learning. Learning was a theme that came out in, I'd say the top three was a theme there, right? So break down language as a barrier, break down how you learn as a barrier. Some people are visual learners, some people like analogies, some people like gaming, and then, you know, just interactive type things too. So learning was cool, and like the top one is called Learn AI. Learn AI, Teach AI were kind of two of them there. Learn AI was a cool thing, and they had the soup to nuts. They had the whole thing, but do it with GenAI. Do it with the tools. Do it with, you know, the LLMs, and do it with AWS, and do it with serve it on NVIDIA NIM. So their theme was, who likes textbooks? Who likes reading textbooks? Probably nobody, right? So you have a textbook there, and then you had a dual screen, and on the right was analogies. You could see analogies there. You could chat with it to explain more. You could flip the language if you wanted to get a different language. You had a little gaming thing if you wanted to try out your skills there. And then the cool thing, which they didn't totally implement, they had a video camera that would measure your emotions, right? Are you actually getting it or not? If you get upset, you know, kind of engage you a bit more. So that was cool. And then another one that I liked, I think it was the third one, is they kind of broke it down on different personalities and different kind of groups, right? So you could chat with it and you kind of get the different groups kind of perspective on it as well. So but the theme on learning, and then of course, one of the other barriers is connectivity. AT&T and others were solving that, right? Trying to solve that. But one of them took on that as an obstacle, right? Sometimes you don't have great connectivity. What if you could train a small language model and put some of that information on the phone, right? So you can interact with it. So if you have spotty connectivity as well. And then doing it kind of dynamic. And there was also one other one. All this is kind of on this theme of learning. Some people are just challenged, and there was a new term, hyperlexia.
Hyperlexia. That's.
I had to look it up. I was like, so we're going to help people with hyperlexia. And I was like, what is that? I looked that up. It's people that can read something totally fine, but they don't grasp the concept.
It sounds like me at school.
Huh?
Yeah. But anyway, they had something that would translate it. And when I looked at it, it was like, you know, it's similar to like explain quantum physics to a sixth grader. How would you explain it? And then it was a bit repetitive so that you would kind of get it there. But all those were really cool about breaking down the barriers, right? And all those things, but helping people learn, helping people understand stuff. And to be honest, I think we could probably take some of those things and apply it to our own folks on learning things.
Did you pick winners?
We did.
So
I think the one of my biggest surprises, if I may, was that the ease of use and the speed with which people were able to deliver on AWS. I mean, of course, I would want to brag about my company, but I'm very new to AWS, so it was a very, very pleasant surprise that AT&T, for example, Chief Data Office, the developers sitting in the room, and of course they are chummy with our competitors, so they've never had a chance to work on AWS, and they come in, they sit down with our builders just for a few minutes or something, and they start hacking. And I have to tell you, the quality of the end product was amazingly, amazingly good. So much so that I was like asking them question, okay, how can I take you to market today, right? And this is a matter of starting the work on Friday, delivering the result on Monday, and they had a full product created, an MVP over the weekend, thanks to the robustness and the ease of use of the AWS platform, the partners that we brought to bear, NVIDIA and Anthropic, truly amazing.
Well,
So, yeah. You want to talk about that?
I'm glad you kind of led into it, but what did they implement? They implemented RAG, right? So question and answer. They implemented multimodal RAG. So take a picture, like this was my injury, find similar pictures of that injury. And they implemented chat. They implemented translation. So you pick your favorite language, right? And their barrier proposition is, what if you arrive here, you don't speak the language, you have a fall, you break something, and all of a sudden you're in there with these doctors and they're talking about these medical terms that you had never heard of, and they're showing you a picture of your thing and you can't understand them. What if you could just break down the barrier, right? So you break it down to your language, get similar pictures, explain these, technical terms of doctors understand, put it in lingo that you get, right? And it was kind of the story is, it was one of our data scientists. He got into an accident skiing. So he was skiing and kind of broke something in his knee, and he had no idea of what all was going on. And he was given all these medical terms. So it was a personal story, which it led off with. But back to your point, I couldn't believe that they did that whole thing in 2 days, right? Soup to nuts. They probably had 12 AI things that they connected to, various different things. Now, what they don't know is that my expectations of them went up a bit higher. So next time around.
So who is the winner?
The winner was Learn AI.
The winner was Learn AI. We had two learning apps in the top 3.
Learn AI, AI, and then there was the large language model that was down on a small language model, so you can take it on your phone. That was the second place winner.
We didn't want AT&T to be the winner because they were one of the hosts.
But we did get best architecture because we tapped into every single thing possible, right? If it was out there. So $18,000 distributed across the 3 winners. Wow. 10K,
right.
10K.
10K was our first place.
10, 5, and 3 is what it was. So you should have seen the students when they got that. Oh my gosh, they were like yelling and screaming. Like you can imagine what they're going to do with it. So it's fun.
So I guess beyond those learnings, it sounds like a lot of fun, and you learned a lot. I mean, if we just go out into the real world and we think about GenAI more broadly and what it can do for digital inclusion, what we call digital equity, any thoughts around that? I mean, is it something that you spend your time thinking about?
Yeah. So the McKinsey presentation was very good appetizer for this question, I guess, on the art of the possible with GenAI. And I'm not going to talk about any of those. I think what I would like to do, what I would like to achieve is really to be able to break down all the barriers, the socioeconomic barriers, the culture. I'm from Pakistan. And yes, you can talk about digital inclusion, access to handsets, everyone, villagers, people serving the industries. Yeah, everyone got access to connectivity, but then the biggest barrier in third world countries is basically the language, the education, the resources. And I think the broadband connectivity and compute is all good, but if I'm not able to understand the language, if I am culturally not able to be sitting in an audience like this, a woman in Pakistan, how do I enable them to afford them the opportunity that I have here? That would be my biggest ambition, to afford the seniors the opportunity to consume best quality healthcare from the comfort of their home. That is what I would like to achieve. To finally eliminate all the barriers from between the riches and the poor. That is what I would like to achieve. And selfishly, I would like to basically eliminate this barrier. Tear down all the screens. I mean, we human beings, when we get in a room, regardless of what language we speak, we are able to communicate eventually. We adapt, we learn. So what if I take GenAI to the next level where I am totally enabling a medium which tears down all the barriers between communication between people and the nature around me, animals and plants.
So you're talking about moving beyond the
Beyond
smartphone paradigm.
the smartphone. Yeah. So those are the barriers that I would like to, I mean, I don't know if we have researchers in the room, but through the Breaking Barriers, we will be partnering with the academic institutions to go find new ways to communicate, new ways to.
And presumably we need to find a way of paying for all these great things, don't we, as well?
Exactly. So that's where I would like to take us.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That sounds like a brilliant project. So do you have any other sort of similar initiatives planned beyond the hackathon? I mean, is it going to roll?
This is not just a hackathon, right? So Breaking Barriers is a initiative. We started out with a hackathon because that was the first thing we wanted to try. But Breaking Barriers is about breaking barriers.
So it's a project that sits within AWS?
So
it's a team, it's a thing, it's,
yeah,
what is it?
So,
all of those.
All right, so thanks for asking me that question. Very good question. So AWS, of course, is the anchor, is the founding member of this initiative. We wanted to test it out with a very small seed, and what we had this weekend was that seed in the making. So we have partners like TM Forum, NVIDIA, Anthropic, AT&T, but we want to expand this.
I mean, I think it's very interesting in the context of we have a telecoms industry thinking hugely positively about AI, but we have a broader society that's probably more worried about AI. So part of it, I guess, is changing that discussion, changing that narrative.
Changing the narrative and bringing in the societal elements of it, bringing in the educational elements of it, bringing in the industry elements of it, and having a broader conversation on how do we go solve these problems collectively.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing is, I think as part of it, the code is available. So you can, take it and build upon it. And it was interesting, as each of them was presented, they were playing the Shark Tank music as they were coming up.
I know.
And often some of those were so good, it was like, hey, what's your go-to-market plan for that? Right? Afterwards. But I think there's definitely something there. Probably taking a combo of multiple of them, putting it together, you could have a real product that could really break down the barriers, and maybe you kind of build on it with the code there and kind of put it out there.
Yeah. But Mark, if I can just use your time, your presence here, just to ask you, I guess, a question more specific to AT&T, but about your data readiness, the ability to genuinely embed AI in your future architectures. Where do you sit on those challenges? How surmountable are those challenges, and where do you feel you're at today?
Yeah, so we had a little bit discussion on kind of the journey, and you've seen it on some of the presentations. Starts with POCs, starts with setting up your infrastructure. Like, are you going to have a private and secure large language model endpoint? Are you going to share your data? Probably not. You probably want to lock it down. You probably don't want people training off of it if it's your own proprietary stuff. So getting that in place is kind of day one, and then do proof of concepts and move on. What we found was really useful is, out of the proof of concepts that you've heard about, you're going to find common patterns, right? Asking questions of documents, RAG, asking questions of data, asking questions of APIs, combinations of those things, agents, right? you'll find common patterns and build those common patterns. So either leverage something that might already be in place now. It's a bit of a different world now versus when it started. There was nothing, so you kind of had to build it, but there's some stuff that's coming out on the platforms that you can leverage. So go ahead and use that, but get the common patterns, democratize it, and get to production. Fortunately at AT&T, our first into production was kind of mid-2023, went straight to the customer. I thought it was going to be like asking questions of documents for HR or something. But we had a chat bot. It was an old chat bot on att.com, but it was rules-based. And it had trouble answering some of the questions. And we said, whoa, we could fix that. We could have it answer the questions if we just put RAG on top of it. Sure enough, we did that. And we cut the percentage of questions it couldn't answer in half in really a couple of weeks, right? But anyway, get your common patterns, democratize that. Make sure you have the role-based access. So just like you have role-based access on data, you should have it on documents as well. Get that all in place and democratize it so people can build these things and get value out of them.
Yeah. And so the question about embedding AI in your enterprise architecture, I mean, that's an active discussion, I guess, and that's a continuous discussion. I mean, are you at the stage now where you know how to do that?
Mm-hmm. I would say I can't think of a business unit or that is not using AI today. In fact, when we kind of put out that stuff, we had 260 use cases in 3 weeks, just crowdsourced, and we're well over that now. But it's really everywhere because everybody has a similar problem. Think about its productivity. It's answering questions regardless of where the information's at or combination, right? So we've been certainly doing traditional AI for years, but it's across the board and just democratizing that.
And I guess you didn't say you've been doing it for years, but I guess with GenAI, you're applying it to different business functions compared to what you did before.
So yeah, I mean, the big thing is that it unlocks unstructured data and just specifications and stuff like that. That now you can kind of combine it with the structured data, traditional machine learning.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to leave the last word to Kaniz here. And so this initiative is breaking barriers. In terms of what comes next, I mean, is it clear, I mean, there's so many directions that you could head in. And this idea, I mean, I love the idea of partnering with an infrastructure company, our infrastructure, with a large language model, with a telco. I mean, is that like a model that you're going to try and take elsewhere?
Exactly. That is the pattern that we want to scale. So our partner companies have expressed interest in taking it globally. So just like what we did here this weekend, we will apply exactly the same pattern: infrastructure company, compute, telco provider, the cloud provider, then the model, large language model, and a educational institution or multiple of those. And we want to go out and seek partnerships globally, but then we also would be looking into getting closer to our customers, solving their problems. For example, data. He mentioned data. Data seems to be the biggest barrier in getting to anywhere we want to get to at this time, specifically for telco. So stay tuned. And also, this is an open call for everyone. If you are passionate about solving problems of humanity using technology, come and please reach out to us.
And I guess within TM Forum, we run the Catalyst program, obviously, and
exactly.
Aaron is now on the Innovation Hub, so maybe Innovation Hub will be really nice.
And we will be meeting with you again in Mobile World Congress at our flagship events, as well as some private engagements that we will be setting up with our partners.
Well, good luck. It's a great venture, and thanks for sharing it with us. Thank you.
Thank you.